This episode of Commander's Log is brought to you by Geek Renaissance. Need that special gift for the nerd in your life? Love supporting small business? Look no further than Geek Renaissance. The artist Sephra makes all items by hand and will boldly go to the final frontier for your unique gift. Head over to geekrenaissance.company.site and use the code FLOBITO, that's FLOBITO, to get 10% off your order. Don't forget to follow, like, and share Geek Renaissance on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Man, flying through space, and I love every single moment of it. You are locked into Commander's Log, your unofficial stop for Star Trek Discovery and other shows. We haven't figured that out yet. Reviews. I am Flobo Boyce, the Chief Communication Officer of the USS Post Show, but of course, I'm just a number one. Who's the captain? Someone to pilot us through all the asteroid belts and anomalies, and the fact that DMA has a nickname that everyone says now, like we should all know what it is. Get up for the Captain John Weber. What's up?
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Boy, that's so embarrassing. You put me up and I'm like, honestly.
Welcome back to Commander's Log. Hey!
Hang on. Let me get the coleslaw out of my whiskers.
You're abusing the replicator again.
Man, what an episode. Oh, my gosh. Oh, Flobo.
Whoa,
this one knocked the
you liked
wind
it
out of
because
me.
you're looking kind of jaded, Captain. Last week you're like, I don't really know about Discovery. I tell you, back in my day on the farm, it was COS. But now you're saying it's good.
It's so true. Well, here's the thing. I have the last couple of episodes of our show. I have definitely been kind of the voice of doom. Like, I don't know, we're kind of heading in this direction. I don't know what's going to happen. And maybe for like 2, maybe 3 episodes, you could say there were these trends going on of certain characters and certain storylines. And I didn't like where they were going. And then all of a sudden, this episode comes along. The examples. Did I get that right? The examples.
Yep. The examples. Episode 5, season 4.
This one comes along, shakes everything up. Jumps a whole bunch of storylines forward, gets us really on shaky ground in a lot of places. And as you know, when things are scary, that's when the drama happens.
I don't know nothing. Well, before we get into the episode, it is a show with no Adira, no Gray, no Tilly, no Detmer or Bryce. But you're saying despite all of that, it is addition by subtraction.
They brought back Jet Reno, played by Tig.
Yeah, they did. Hey, fan favorite.
Very exciting. Morkovich this episode. As you know, I love Morkovich, played by David Cronenberg, the master of Canadian suspense and horror. And I don't say that jokingly. He really is. I love him. He's
the fact to categorize like the Star Trek characters like Canadian guy. I love my redheads. It's just very. I'll give you one of those. I love it.
Hey, I mean, I think I'm taking it pretty well considering how much I love my redheads. And we've had a lot of bad redhead news. This episode doesn't have Detmer. This episode doesn't have Tilly.
No.
And they shoot Stamets from behind. And that red hair ain't going to be here forever.
Oh.
I hate to say it.
Replicate it.
There's some Friar Tuck action going on from behind. And hey, man, it happens. It is a man's journey. It happens. But actually, it's a person's journey. Lots of people get the bald spot. But oh, my gosh. Yeah, say goodbye to that red hair, my friend.
I got to be honest with you. I lost my hair at 21 and shaved it off at 24. So I have no sympathy.
Oh, man. Yeah, but you rock the dome, man. You rock it.
Got much of a choice there, Captain, but I appreciate the kind words.
let me tell you, I should not put this out in the universe, and I'm knocking on my wooden desk as I say it, but
it better be wood.
If my hair was not on top of this head, you would see a topography that you would not believe. I have scars from when I was a professional wrestler. I have bizarre, bumps and ridges. I am like half Klingon. Right. I'm like Lana Torres over here.
The Kuzma, right?
You would not believe the ridges and the rises and the peaks and the points. Oh, there's so much going on this skull right here. I have nothing but respect for people who can rock the dome and rock their handsome skull.
Man, let's go into it, man. Jonathan Stamets, and assumingly a smooth head. He's going through some stuff in this episode, right? He has a little bit of this experiment happening here. Now, I know we're going to get into just a bit more detail here. But to me, I felt it was kind of cheap that we got this random character just showing up, helping him out here. What was his name? I'm trying to figure this up here now. There we are.
Tarka.
Ruran Tarka also worked with Aurelia, which I miss Aurelia. She should come back on the show. I get the idea of having someone smarter than thou, but it feels like everyone knew who Ruran Tarka was and no one talked to him before this week. What's going on?
It's so funny. Okay, so the story of Ruran Tarka is when the Discovery jumps forward 900 plus years, no one's ever heard of their spore drive because it was secret. And then they, as a gesture of goodwill to the Federation, they basically say we'll share this technology with all of the Federation. It is the right thing to do. They're members of the Federation.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, there was Columbia Records, like 100 CDs for a cent. I get it. I have so many CDs I haven't paid for.
Oh, dude. Steely Dan's Asia on cassette. It's just one of my favorite things, and I didn't ask for it.
Right.
God bless my mom telling them, like, he's 13. You can't hold him to a contract. Where was I? Oh my God.
Talking about Ruran Tarka.
Right. Ruran Tarka has been given all of the specs and all of the information about the spore drive, which Stamets, it all came from him. So, hey, Kay, one of my favorite things, and I know I talk about this on the various shows. I think I've talked about it here on the Committer's Log. The Niles Crane phenomena. Fraser Crane is fussy and intellectual and persnickety, so that when they give Fraser his own show, and it's kind of genius, what they did was they created his brother, who was more. All those things that he was, all those, sort of not great things, he was more in his brother. So his brother kind of becomes the joke that Fraser can make fun of, how fussy he is, how persnickety he is, how hoity-toity he is. So we get the it's so funny. I actually use hoity-toity several times in my notes. I guess it's my phrase of the week.
Oh, sorry, that doesn't cut you off here. How do you spell that? Is it Hoity? Is it Houghty?
I put the GH in both of them. I don't know if that's proper, but for some reason, and proper might actually be Hoighty, and then toity without it, Toity. That would be my guess. It doesn't make any sense because it breaks its own ruls. And let's face it,
it's like Mamby-Pamby or artsy-fartsy, I have no idea. Sorry, not what we're here for, but I know you have to get you on topic.
Anyway, making the very longest point short, we are meeting in Ruran Tarka. We are meeting the Stametsy Stamets, the more Stametsy Stamets. Yeah. So whatever Stamets was up to this point in terms of being fussy and nerdy and hard to talk to and irritable, Ruran Tarka turns out to be a lot more.
Yeah, and it definitely works for their favor, right? We're gonna jump around here with this experiment, but the idea of I guess not say replicating, but just to have an experiment of their miniature DMA to understand how it works because of the magic trick it did in the beginning of the episode. And so I like the idea of having stronger heads prevail, but you can tell Stamets is kind of like, oh, this guy, he egoed me, he kayfabed me, didn't answer, left me on red, and now he comes waltzing in for all the glory. I'm not really a fan.
I mean, he literally says, how can I work with somebody who doesn't have respect for the, like the conventions of being nice? It's like, you care about being nice now? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it also puts us in a great situation. This happens over and over in this episode where something that wasn't dangerous before is now extremely dangerous. So just the science of building this replica, this working replica, by the way. So it still does have very negative powers. This little replica of the DMA that they make. Hey, Kirsten. Now that you've got that, things could potentially go wrong. And if Stamets was running it, or if Tilly was running it, then we know they would do everything they can to make it safe. But we don't know that about Tarka. Tarka's dangerous, man.
Yeah, he hangs out under the bleachers after school, bro. Well, while Burnham's on a mission, we'll get to obviously later on this episode. Saru is running point. Remember the new unafraid Saru running point in this, making sure everything is supposedly safe. Now, walk me through the dilemma here. This DMA replica needs a whole crap ton of energy. I was cool to see the science, the needs of the scientific experiment versus the needs of not bureaucracy, but the actual thing of not killing everybody and having Reno and having Saru go back and forth. There were some parameters put in place, but it was pushed to the limit. Top question, was Saru right? And bottom question is, what would you think about the whole like experimentation process?
It's interesting because the Admiral is actually a big part of setting up the parameters of just command during this. And so he says, you, Captain Burnham, will be running this rescue mission, running the whole rescue effort, and Saru will take over the con. And that's really interesting because we're seeing what we saw in one of the first episodes where there was this question about Burnham leaving the captain's chair to go off and do these dangerous things.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tension there. Should she be doing that? The Admiral actually says, yeah, do that. And Saru, who is a great administrator and a great leader of people, of personalities, is the guy who's captain in front of that. So now he represents being wise, being careful, being cautious, and he's getting pushed. He's getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And so he comes up with the kill switch. How many kill switches have we ever seen in Star Trek?
Lots of them.
Oh, have we? So he's got this kill switch to shut down this potentially dangerous experiment. And what's really funny is as the experiment gets more dangerous, Stamets goes over to Ruan Tarka's side more and more. So his new friend, the other valedictorian of Space Genius, is guiding him down a potentially dangerous, deadly path. And that's really interesting. Also, Tilly's not there, so you don't have the heart. You know, Jet Reno is there instead. Yeah, ripped out of our chests, damn it, and our beautiful redhead. She's running a school now. What's up with that? But you've got Jet Reno is back, and
perfect role for this one.
How many craps does Jet Reno ever give? She is such a cool customer in the face of danger. So we've got a ton of danger, and we've got Jet there. It's awesome. It's an awesome setup.
So Jet's kind of my favorite character in this episode because I think that's how I would act on a ship. Like, I know this will probably kill us. And she even says it. I think that's close to ever come to killing us. And that says a lot. But she does it anyway because it's her job. She's like, are you sure you want to do this? Because I got authorization. We're making that happen. Now I got to ask you, if you were a attractive Saru, would you have done it? And would you have gone as far as he did? Or they've done?
Yeah, I maybe it's just the benefit of being a viewer and watching it, but I probably would have shut it down long before he did. Because I can tell how dangerous Tarka is.
Right.
This guy is going to get us in some trouble. And by the time we get to the end of this episode, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to get us into some trouble.
Yeah.
I also love that it was Saru who brought up one of my, I'm always like that mystery viewer. I like to watch the mystery and try to solve the mystery.
Oh,
sometimes
I love CSI. Yeah.
I think everybody kind of feels that, which is why these genres are popular. In this case, there's a great theory. The first thing they theorize about the DMA is that it might be a weapon. Clearly, it's destructive. But the second thing that comes up, and it comes from Saru, is it merely a device to clear out large portions of space for some reason?
Right.
Which it sounds so much like anybody here who's into Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
42.
It starts with the Earth being destroyed because they're building a freeway.
Okay.
And the Earth's
awesome.
in the way. So they show up and they're just like, yeah, we're going to blow it. And they just blow up the Earth. So that could happen. We've heard, from astronomers and people making theories out of real astronomical observations that there is this idea that there might be these gigantic structures that were built that have been manufactured in space. They suspect certain fields that they see of debris or asteroids might be part of that. So far they haven't found one, but that is an active thing going on.
Right. Even with a replicated mashed potatoes in 1P, we get an idea that someone's put it really gross. I mean, there's other ways to happen. You have holograms, bro. Why would you replicate? Whatever. But
it was such a weird callback to Close Encounters of the First Kind, don't you think?
I just kind of like, well, why? That's one reference I could do without. So my idea or my theory of it being sentient is kind of being off to the wayside a little bit. It looks like someone's controlling it, or a race of a planet or something is controlling it.
Huge revelation. And it comes right in the beginning of the episode, which I love. Yeah,
they waste no time. And there's something that Anthony Zuiker, was back to CSI, another reference, about he wants feature television. Things move along the plot super fast. I'm glad it happened this early, because I feel like in season 2, this revelation came like episode 10 or 11. It was like so fast. I'm glad it's happening now. The question is now, if you could do a little predictions before we move on, what would be the end game? To have this giant sweeping black hole that could take and envelope everything around it. Galaxy domination?
That is an incredible mystery. I don't even have a guess. I mean, if I had to make a super smart guess, I would have come up with what Saru mentioned, which is, are they just trying to clear out parts of space because they don't care what's there, and they're so powerful. The other question I have now that might answer your question is this like the Doomsday Machine from the original series? Is this an abandoned weapon from a long forgotten war? But it's being used right now, and we know for a fact now it is being used. It is being activated. It is being moved. And it's created this like post 9/11 fear of, oh my God, we're being hit. We're being attacked.
So I'm worried about it because it's so big and it's so massive and it's so destructive. Like I find it a little hard to believe there's no one that's seen this being built or developed, right? So I understand it's looking to be a people, but its people have to be off the grid, another quadrant, another time, another something for me to make. If it's like Talos 4 again, I'll be upset. Like, hey, what, are you kidding me?
Dude, what was the okay, so they get their debrief from the Admiral. And he says, we've suspected that it might be the Metrons, the Nicene, surviving members of the Iconian Empire, or the Q Continuum.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they said, we eliminated that because nobody has heard from the Q for 600 years. Now, I'm going to have to do some deep dive research that I didn't have time to do today. But, my God, like, wait a minute, the Q haven't been heard from for 600 years? So how does that time out with Picard season 2?
So it can go either way. Like that's what I'm glad you brought that up, because that's in my notes as well. It's like either they're making that seed plan for them to show up, or they're saying keep them off the board. It's too easy of an answer. And I'm not sure what the intent is. Stress Free K has a question there. It says, but who could be so angry? Do they have a list of planets they want to destroy? I hope they do. That's my slam book.
That's a great question. And I wonder if if the destruction is intentional, or if it's we're just doing a thing and we don't care who gets hurt. We're really at a place right now where we know that there is a device that controls it, but we don't know anything about who controls that device.
Yeah. Yeah. Just on a scale, because we did scales in this episode too, of 0 being ugh and 10 like, yeah. Your thoughts on Tarka as far as this being in this group. Are you pro, anti, neutral on him?
Here's the problem.
Give me the problem, John.
I hate to have this problem in front of everybody. I should probably work it out on my own. But
It's
here's
okay. You're among friends. Yeah, okay.
The actor playing Tarka. I do not dislike this guy at all. But oh my God, you could have gotten a celebrity.
What? That's your reason?
Here's the inner producer in my head is like, you got me another Canadian.
They're cheap.
They are, and they're local.
Yeah.
I didn't have to fly them in.
Right.
You got another Canadian actor who is quite good, but where's the benefit? Where is what he brings to the party? Where is the where is that inner power?
Okay.
And
who do you
sometimes
cast right now? Cast him right now.
Who would I cast?
Besides yourself.
Who's doing TV right now? I mean, that's the thing. Is Lawrence Fishburne available? Is
He's
Ted
tied up in
Danson?
his...
Ted Danson's not available. He's got a
can't
show.
do Ted Danson and Cronenberg in the same. There'd be too much pompadours and bouffants for one viewership. We can't do that.
Well, you got to love Cowboy Curtis then. Lawrence Fishburne. Come on, man. He's not in the new Matrix movie. Come on.
Imagine he comes in like the Pee Wee Herman thing. Oh my God.
Do you know he's actually working on a Marvel animated show called Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur?
No, but you know what? I'm glad they're bringing that to life. Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. It is awesome. It reminds me so much of Into the Spider-Verse. In the music and the art. Oh, you got to look that trailer up.
Devil Dinosaur is pretty legit, pretty awesome.
It is. It goes way back, and it's Jack Kirby, and it's a beautiful thing. But
Jack Kirby is so good that now, 2 generations later, we're still uncovering layers of stuff. That's when you know you're an artist.
Absolutely.
Gene Roddenberry, we love you. Same thing.
Eternals, man. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Somebody who could bring a little baggage to this part would have made me happier than the guy doing it. But the guy doing it is okay.
Wow.
He's fine.
Page alert.
But I mean, you got David Cronenberg, doing like a session of therapy with Culber. David Cronenberg, come on, get me somebody great here. I'll take one of the kids in the hall at this point. I'll take a Canadian.
The things that trigger you, man, it's just so crazy. Before we get to our A plot, what's up? What? Did I cut you off?
Oh no.
Before we get to our A plot, let's get to our C plot. Hugh Culber, I always get that name wrong, is giving and giving and giving, but finds out he's been giving from an empty cup. Surprise! He died, by the way. They remind you about that, this one. Even booking a very short 8-minute talk with Kovic, even though it was like 6 minutes, that cheat about what's going on. So Cobra's doing through a lot, and in a lot of ways, the conscience of Discovery, especially them jumping in the future. But now we're seeing him crack and fray a bit. Will this become another instance where he may go off the grid?
That is a very good question. I don't know what the solution is going to be. He doesn't seem to be embracing the obvious solution, which is just take some time off. And it's such an obvious solution. Maybe just dramatically, it's like he can't just accept that. I do love, though, that all of his giving, him being so supportive of everybody this season, has A, taken a toll on him, B, it's broken now, and C, Kovic, at Culber's request, calls him out for a savior complex. How often does that happen in Star Trek?
Major.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I just love Culber. I just absolutely love him. I love Stamets too. I mean, I'm watching the show for the second time going, why is my favorite scene where the two guys end the day like Mr. and Mrs. Brady in their bed talking about the kids?
Because you know how it is, man. From a long, hard day of making black holes, we're going to kick back with your significant other and talk about your day with a nice cold one. I don't know,
I
Discovery
mean,
Ale.
it's so sweet. It is just
Yeah.
absolutely sweet, and really like one of the best scenes in the whole episode. It was a good episode too.
I was kind of like, for a married couple, they're being awfully affectionate. No, I'm just kidding. It was cool. It was cool. It was a nice moment because they both care about each other, so it was awesome.
Well,
Usually, like, go to bed. All right, woman.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
You're not really asleep.
Exactly.
You're not really asleep. Come on now. I can tell.
My day was hard. No, I hear you.
I love it. I love it. There were two great scenes at the end. That was one of them. Actually three. And the one where Tarka talks to Book. I mean, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but
no, let's jump ahead.
God.
Get Tarka off the break. So there was that conversation. There was that disdain for synthahol. Gee, sorry, all right, I said the Ritz. But there's a bit of understanding there, even though there hasn't been anything agreed. But Tarka's looking at Book like, hey man, I see you, bro.
Yes, and right at the very beginning, in the beginning debriefing, actually Stamets drops a very important piece of information that will shape the whole episode. And this piece of information is Tarka has been working on his own like advanced version of the spore drive, trying to push the spore drive further so that it can be, much more widely used, which is a great idea.
Right.
And what happens in doing that is Stamets says he can only do so much because he doesn't have a navigator. He doesn't have that human interface that we have in both Stamets and Book. Both of them can interact with the drive, and you need that. That's an important part. He doesn't have that, so he can only go so far in creating his own spore drive. However, at the end, there he is, the Ryzian. He's from Ryza. He's like a evil scientist genius. Not evil, but amoral.
They mention that often. Like, hey, in Ryza. My old school.
And it's so funny to me because to me that's like the intergalactic equivalent of coming from Florida.
Oh no.
I think he's in Florida, man.
Oh man, he's wearing one of those
hooch.
Guys raising the South shirts. Please spare me. No thanks.
I don't know. I'm getting a bad boy vibe, and it is like the guy from Ryza, the Pleasure Planet, who has something to prove and wants to show everybody back home that he's better than they are. But that goes into him reading Book like a book.
Oh, I get it. That's his name.
and understanding where he's coming from. And he says, all that anger, where to put it. And you just know he's going to come up with some terrible, dangerous, not at all good idea. And Book is looking available for it. Because Book, understanding that someone controlling this thing that destroyed his planet and all of his people, he will now have a chance to get revenge at the person who had the hand on the controls.
True.
It's going to get dangerous.
And Book is going through some stuff this week because there is a rescue mission that our plucky captain, doing. By the way, sidebar, I always say this on the show, but stop complaining about Burnham going on in the field. Kirk did it all the time, and Kirk did it like half the speed. But rescue mission, and apparently there is an impending, I guess, I don't say attack, but like an impending strike, I guess, on this space. And so there is a prison that they need to get the prisoners out, but they are the examples, and there's no help from the bureaucracy of space. So Michael Burnham goes down there himself with Booker to investigate. Thoughts about this? Because the mission is one thing, but Reese wants to volunteer. I thought that was interesting. Captain?
How about that? I feel like they've been trying to get the bridge crew a little more prominent in storylines. We know a little bit more. Like you and I both love communications officers. That's like just one of the things we love about Star Trek. And this guy Christopher, Lieutenant Christopher, is still in the chair, so they haven't brought the original guy back.
They haven't. Bryce, what's up?
What's up? I don't want to be replaced by a smaller, better looking dude. Why would they do that?
That's not possible. Not possible
It's
at all. What are you talking
constantly possible. But we've got this incredible setup because this settlement, this colony, was originally part of the Emerald Chain.
Yes.
So they follow a lot of Emerald Chain rules, and these are the very amoral Orions that were in the sort of organized crime family called the Emerald Chain.
Right.
And so one of the things that they would do was they would always have 6 people. Apparently, we learned this all in this episode. They have 6 people who are just basically placed in stocks. You know, the old thing when like they put the hands through in the head and they put the thing down, you're just stuck. And so that they can be the example of what happens to you if you break the law, even though as far as the people, as far as most of the prisoners know, they have committed very small crimes. They are just the examples. Hey, Craig, what's up, man? And we've got this, you know, great humanitarian effort by Captain Burnham, by Book, to get down there and rescue these people, even though the sovereign magistrate. So that pretty much, pretty much like a police chief runs the whole thing. That's what I take sovereign magistrate to mean.
Woo!
And he's
police chief. Woo!
I mean, why is he such a dick?
I'm just, hey man, Google LA sheriff gangs. Listen, question about you, John. The thing is, you have the sovereign magistrate, and there seems to be a conflict there, which I thought was very classic Trek. This is the way we do things. I guess, is it Prime Directive or General Order 1? I'm not sure what they use anymore, but there's that, and then there's a whole like, no, but we have a mission. They're souls, not human beings. They're souls. We have to get them back on the boat. I thought it was really cool dynamic.
Yes, and you know, everybody's got their own different way of interpreting the law. Every culture has their own different way. I mean, we find out later, I'm not going to give everything away, but we find out later a guy says, I took a life. That's why I'm a prisoner. And I should actually die here. And you know, Burnham's like, and he's like, you didn't shrink away when I said that. What's up with that? It's like, oh, you don't know humans. Yeah, we take lives.
Right. And then we blame it on them. We'll get to Felix in just a second because it's a good point. It's very, very important, really the heart of the story. But the factor on this inhospitable planet, I thought it was kind of cool and weird. The Arisa beetles were kind of a plot point here of having like the live vegetation. Like, oh, that's so cute. Holy crap, they're weaponized. I love straight up alien planet, man. It's like going to the wrong hood and having the car break down. So that was pretty rad.
Nice dog. He's a pit bull. Get in the car. Lock the door.
Let's get out of here. But yeah, you're right. There are the examples. The name of the story, there are the examples. And it is interesting about what we think about objectively, or maybe not objectively, when we read stories in our papers as human beings. We go, oh, that person, lock them away. Put them away. Make sure that doesn't happen. Let's get these thugs off our street. But then you realize they're human people. They're human beings. They don't need to die because there's definitely certain death. And there was no cool, happy ending here, especially for Felix. We'll get to a minute here. But that gave me a pause. That there are people out there who are examples and we're trying to go for their freedom. And then they're treated as lesser than.
Right. It's a sense that these souls are not worth anything. And so don't even bother saving them is pretty much what Sovereign Magistrate says. And that's just not how it's done in the Federation. So that leads to this incredibly intensely dangerous thing. And I don't know, dude. So
tell me.
They enter the prison area and they see the beetle. And I love the moment where Captain Burnham says to Book, like, well, just use your empath powers and tell him to back off. And he's like, I'm trying. It's not working. And that's when they realize that the Orions have weaponized the fauna, as you said. And at that point, I'm going like, this is so much like a level of a video game.
Oh, yeah. Horde mode. That's what we call it. It's horde mode. There is a wave of things after you throwing Kung Lao Mortal Kombat hats. You got to find a way to get around them. That to me was like, they're going to die. Oh, my goodness. Who killed you? The beetle.
That was so awesome. The beetle, and then some of the beetles like open up and a giant flaming frisbee comes up and flies at them and starts like buzzsawing its way through the rock they're hiding
What a
behind.
way to go out.
It was just really like very video gamey and very like exciting. I actually really liked it. Very action movie.
Yeah, so they get to the cutscene. No, I'm kidding. They get to the prisoners, and there's a negotiation about what they can do. They want complete freedom. Starfleet or Burnham acting on behalf of Starfleet at first is like, I can't do that. Like, yo, these are the terms and rules. We're not coming with you. It's like you're going to die. And I thought it was cool and weird that Burnham stopped and opened up the main was like, let me see what loophole I can use here to make sure I can get you here legally, which is pretty cool because the old Burnham wouldn't have done that. She would have said, no, you're coming with me. But now there's enough of that captaincy in there to say, how can you do this the right way?
Right. How can I be a leader? How can I not do this through force, but do this through leadership? You said it before. You said it the week that I couldn't make it on the show, but I did watch the show and enjoyed it so much. I
was digging a hole, bro.
Thanks man, dude. Yeah, I'm telling you, that free flow that you had, that free flow that you had just brought out so many great ideas and so many. So anyway, one of the things that you said that I love so much is she is a captain. She is fully a Federation captain. She makes judgment calls on the fly. She tries to apply morality. She tries to do the right thing, not the official thing, but the right thing. And she'll go down swinging. She doesn't, she'll put what's right ahead of what's easy. And that's some good captaining right there. So I love that she also, like, when they see the beetles, she explains how beetles make noise.
Yeah. Keton. It
was so awesome.
Like it freaks Books out. Yeah, I would too, man. So in like, if you guys ever been to anything that's like subtropical or it's humid, like the equator or Central America, Florida, good point. Well, South Florida, for example.
You're right.
Roaches are lazy, so when it gets too humid, they fly. And if you've never seen a flying roach before, it's terrifying, right? But you can imagine seeing a flying cockroach, like, actually, all insects have wings. Like, hey, woman, I'm freaking out. It has wings. They're coming at me.
Damn, it's like finding out sharks can have wings.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's awful.
Flying sharks. Jaws gonna be the same.
There was if you ever watched the cartoon Black Star, there's a character who can change. She's a shapeshifter. And one of his favorite things to turn into is a flying shark. And I was like, why would you be anything but a flying shark? Because when he turns into his real self, he's like an elf. And I'm like,
right.
I mean, you look good, but you're not as dangerous as a flying shark.
You get so many dates, bro.
Seriously, no one's going to miss you at the tavern if you're a flying shark. I'm just saying.
The trigger problem.
But what I love about, she's super smart, she's going to the books, she's hitting the books, and that's how she figures out, we can offer them political asylum, because let's face it, this was political theater, them being imprisoned to begin with, based on what she was told. We also find out she wasn't told everything, and that makes for the very interesting last third of the episode.
So let's talk about it. Felix, the de facto leader of the examples, says, look, I negotiated the asylum. Go ahead. As you mentioned before, he was a killer. And Burnham was like, oh, hell no. Why? But the story was kind of heartbreaking. If you guys seen the episode, I'll try to do it. It's not nearly as much gravitas, but he was a poor beggar, got let into someone's home, forgot some food, tried to take the guy's cash, it seems, or latinum, or whatever money they had, struggled and killed them, and took their Longi orb, which is basically like a record, like your Ancestry.com record of your entire lineage, the heirloom of the Akali, and just pieced out. So he was living with that. He basically ended a family line, and he's going through some stuff. Now, John, let me ask you this. He went through all of that. Did you believe at that point in time he was going to stay? Or you think he'd be like, oh, you're right, penance? Like, what did you think was going to go through your mind, or how do you think the show's going to end?
I was going through the tug of war. I have to admit, I was with Book. I was like, wait, you're going to let someone choose to die? Is that really how we do things?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a very sneaky way to bring up that question of, does somebody have the right to determine their own end?
Right.
It's a taboo in our culture, because basically ending yourself is very much a taboo. I've always argued that a lot of what religions are for is to keep people from doing that.
Okay. I
You
remember
know,
that one before. Yeah.
Just very, very quickly, if you tell people that by ending your own life, you will go to hell or you will be punished or it will be like the worst thing that could happen, there you go, Craig. Choose to Live, which was 2 episodes ago. That was the name of the episode. So this theme, in a modern world, people ask all the time, like, why did these school shootings happen? And I think it's because the taboos of destroying life are often passed through religion. And if you don't give somebody a religious foundation, they're going to go the other route, which is life is accidental. Life is not planned. Life is not so special. And we should not feel that way, honestly, because we could make each other's lives better if we value life. We can make our own lives better and make everyone else's life better. But that's a sort of post-punishment way of looking at it. Sure. So here we are. The guy is making his choice, and Book, who saw his entire people, like I keep trying to wrap my head around that. If you were in space and then Earth is destroyed,
right?
Like everything's gone. It's only you now. What he's going through is so brutal. So here he is just about, he's tearing up as he's saying, we've got to save him. That's the only thing, us saving him. And he's basically saying, you have no right to save me. I choose not to be saved.
Yeah. Very complex issue. I know it's a cop out. I was torn. I did see both ways on that one, but just for the auspicious of this show, let me just say from Burnham's perspective, here's somebody that believes a way they believe, and they are control of their vessel. And if I take them against their will, that will be tantamount to kidnapping, even though they would be under asylum. Burnham did what she can. She gave him a memorial. She had to tell the story if need be. But it wasn't an easy issue. And I thought it was kind of unfair. It kind of tacked on at the end. Like, by the way, think about that. Bye. You know what I mean? But I do think it's one of those moments you think about. Like, if you're in a situation where you have a chance to save someone and someone goes, go on without me, you go, no. But someone goes, go on without me, I caused damage to this entire bloodline. That's a genocide, but I've done this thing to an entire lineage. Let me go. Right. Does that change anything? Does the severity of the crime change anything? Or is it absolutely, I haven't charged my body?
Yeah, they make it easy for you here because it is the storytelling in the United States especially was very much affected by the Hays Code in films, the Comics Code in comics, just generally the rules of publishing. And one of the things that you see often, especially in old stories, is if someone takes a life, they almost always get killed at the end of the story that we see them in. There's almost always some divine justice. You took a life, so your life is forfeit. A hero very infrequently kills. Very, very infrequently. And when he does, he's usually killing a killer.
Right.
So he's taking, he is the instrument of justice, divine justice in that case, because, there's this sense. So that's very traditional. The guy did take a life, and the guy has been an advocate for the other prisoners who didn't do things as dangerous. And he also doesn't romanticize what he did at all. There's no excuses, no explanations. Just, I had nothing. I did a terrible thing. It resulted in killing a man. And then I realized that I had taken his legacy, the rest of his family pretty much away from him and away from themselves, away from each other. And living with that, that's all he wanted in the end. It really was kind of a beautiful end there, which is weird because here's the DMA actually serving some kind of cosmic justice. Weird.
Well, it is interesting how like the idea of a big, I won't say natural disaster, of a disaster, we tend to, back to religion, try to extract reasons before it, right? It's kind of interesting to me that all the major religions on the planet now have a great flood story, which implies that something must have happened along those lines, because what can you pull from mass destruction, right? But the Lalongi orb belonging to family Doxica is returned, and there is a moment there of solace that she got her face back on that tree, which is pretty cool. But the question I have for you is right after that, John. It seems to me that our new AI, Zora, is feeling emotions.
Oh my God!
WTF, bro?
Oh man, that was like a D story. That happened so far in the background. We was it last episode or the episode before where we even learned that the computer has a name. 2
episodes ago. Yeah,
it's like Zora. She named herself Zora. Anyway, your computer did what now?
Yeah,
computer's called computer.
Hey Siri. No, I'm just kidding.
and now, correct me if I'm wrong. Catch me up here because I do smoke a lot of herb to go to sleep every night. And to make TV more fun. Did this particular computer, Zora, is the result of their ship's computer combining with the sphere?
So it's implied that it's the retrofit, the onboard, and the sphere data combined with everything else they've learned in the time they were there. So it isn't from one particular lineage, but kind of a pastiche. If you're in the chat listening now, if you have any more insight on that, let me know. But I was under the impression it's kind of like what they pulled from all those together.
So it's kind of like Data from the Next Generation in that it is a sort of unforeseen life form that is kind of unreplicated. It's sort of accidental in its existence.
Like Gideon from the CW series, CWDC series.
Right. Yes, very much. Okay, so that makes sense. And what really works for me there is Burnham is like, okay, nice talking to you too.
Well, she says, quote, it's difficult to weigh duty against compassion. She goes, whoa, you got feelings now, dude? And she's like, yeah, you know how it is, emotions, am I right? I was like, these AIs going out there getting emotions. They don't pay taxes. No, I'm kidding. Well, it's kind of interesting to me, though.
It's very interesting because I just look at it through the lens of the other captains. Like, I don't think Kirk would be cool with this. I do think Picard would be. I don't think Sisko would be cool with this. I do think Janeway would be. I don't think Archer would be. And Burnham ain't. She's not cool with this. And I love that. That's real.
Look, we're in the future. We're in a science vessel, but technology doesn't really last long. Talking about Control or Lieutenant Arium, they don't last long. So yes, if I was Burnham, I'd be freaked out.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I mean, Control was like one of the big bads of the previous season, and AI tends to be very dangerous in this world. So yeah, this is kind of a big deal. What I do like about it is that Zora is another sort of new crew member, and I'm kind of digging that. I kind of dig how they're spreading out. Oh, as you were saying before about Reese, I mean, the actor who plays Reese, I've seen some interviews with him, and he puts a lot of thought into what he does, which you don't have to do with a role that small usually. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if they're like, this guy's really on the ball. Let's kind of give him the ball to score with sometimes. Let's give this guy a little more. And his sweet little backstory of, I really want to help rescue these people because when I was a little kid, our colony was in trouble. A hurricane was wiping out my home, and we were rescued by Starfleet. So now I want to do that for someone else. That's Starfleet right there. That's exactly what Starfleet's for. That's what Starfleet means. I freaking love it.
Yeah, save from disasters. Bada boom, gabagool. Love it.
Like, oh, that mozzarella. Oh, it kisses your tongue, Flobo.
You way wrong. So glad you're back on the other side of positive. I was a little worried about you last week and the week before.
I can't believe so much negativity in the show has made me so positive. What's up with that?
Well, I don't know either. Craig Robinson says, I just like the thought that Burnham couldn't tell anyone she's freaked out about the ship because the ship will hear.
I mean,
Ooh.
we got some serious Space Odyssey stuff going on here, right?
I guess. Does that mean Zora's watching her with Booker?
Bam! Hey, what about the fact, and this gets dropped out of nowhere, when they're reminiscing about the year that Burnham was there before the Discovery arrived.
Mhm.
And he was like, well, I didn't love the just friends rule.
Yeah.
Did you believe they were just friends that whole year?
I kind of did. I did. Maybe they could have done some like I'm man, not your woman type deal. But I really feel like Booker was annoyed and didn't understand where she came from, and Burnham was still. But the first 2 episodes, so emotional and distraught that I didn't want to have that image. It's like having your parents do it, you know. Like it happened, but I don't want to have it happen. So I'm totally fine with that retcon. Totally fine.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that like once stuff is settled for her, then she's like, okay, now we can be boyfriend and girlfriend. Because I certainly had that relationship a few times.
Well, because I mean, Burnham is all law and order, and she had to learn to be a savage. So I can understand being like, I don't put my guard up with you, kind of a thing, you know.
That's a good point, and it does go to show that Book's a good guy because he didn't just dump her on the first asteroid. Once she said no, we ain't getting busy, he was like, well, all right, we'll stay together.
Homeboys and not in space. By the way, you got to watch that pilot of the Homeboys Out of Space because John Webber's in it. So it's so great to be a part of it. Any last thoughts before we get out of here, John? It's been a crazy week here for Star Trek Discovery lore. So much thing has been advanced.
Yes. I still don't know that this isn't V'ger from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I still don't know that. Something is controlling it, but we don't know necessarily that it's a weapon or anything. It could actually be a life form like V'ger who just doesn't understand how much damage it does or doesn't think that carbon-based life forms are that important. It could be that. I would hate for it to be some Harry Mudd knockoff. I'd hate for it to be some, big bad wearing a tie. Like, that's right, I'm destroying space. What you gonna do about it? Like, I hate that.
Patrick Warburton, what are you doing here?
Hell no, Patrick Warburton. I'm destroying entire systems. What are you gonna do about it?
That's pretty good.
Hey man, I made a lot of money ripping that guy off.
Fair enough, man. It was a long time. I didn't have a beard, and people thought I was Cory Booker, and I wondered if I could be a celebrity impersonator. But I grew the beard, and the game was over. So
I have one Easter egg I can offer everybody. One Easter egg. Okay, so the scene where Captain Burnham meets with Doxica, the Doxica girl, and she presses the little button and the family tree comes up. At the very top of the family tree is a person who looks like Vanilla Ice.
Oh.
Go to the Starbase 80 Facebook page, and I will put up the photo I took, and I'm telling you, that looks like Vanilla Ice.
Check it out at Starbase 80. Our sister show, Starbase 80, airs every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We go into the deep dives of older Trek and some of the new stuff, too, as that gets growing. We have some good guests. You gotta check that out because I don't know anything but old Trek, so I get to be total a newbie to most things. Like for example, that show helps with this show because, like, in the first scene of this episode, there was USS Janeway. I know who Janeway is now. Thanks to Starbase 80.
That's right. Yeah. And coming up this Sunday at it's 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. It'll be me, of course, Flobo Boyce, the best XO in the whole damn Federation, and our guest, Anthony DeVito, one of Brooklyn's finest comedians.
Bada boom. Hey. Bada boom. I guess
who still lives in Brooklyn. Who
Fine.
still lives in Brooklyn.
Technically correct.
Let me finish.
Before I get out of here, my favorite quote of the week, there were so many quotables, but I liked when our homeboy was like, "You may not like me, but I love me." And that's advice for life. That
was a great one. And I actually oh man, my quote of the week came from Jet Reno. The more you feed the monster, the more you need the cage.
Woo!
Wow.
Woo! Sounds like
Wow.
a Gatorade ad, but I love it. John, we gotta get out of here. How can anyone connect with you? How can anyone figure out to follow you online? How to go about doing that?
Over on Twitter, we are Starbase80. On Facebook, we are there's the Starbase 80 page, but also my personal network, Weber Internet thingy, and please check us out because dude, I'm gonna debut a show tonight.
Oh, wow. I hope it's about how to spell hoity toity. I'm still confused about that. This is Commander's Log, your one-stop shop for Star Discovery and hopefully strange new worlds. But until next week, man, you gotta do the thing. You gotta live long and prosper.
LLM!